everybody, it's Joy. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Today I am going to be talking about living with multiple sclerosis. I will walk you through my journey of what led up to my diagnosis, what I did once I found out that I had MS, and then also how I'm coping with living with MS today. I do want to let you know that, let me explain MS to you. Okay, so MS, multiple sclerosis, is a disease in which the immune system, it eats away at the protective covering of your nerves, the nerves throughout your entire body. The protective covering is actually called myelin. So your myelin is being attacked and destroyed, so to speak, when you have MS. And what happens is that now the communication between the brain and the body is just disrupted. Just for a quick example, let's say you could stick your hand under a stream of piping hot water and you wouldn't know it. Now that's never happened to me personally, but that's just a quick example. But when I walk you through my journey, I will go ahead and let you know what forms of lost communication between my brain and my body that I experienced. Okay, so all of this started years ago. May of 2006 to be exact. What happened was I went to work like any other regular day. I came home, I was chilling out at home. When it was time for me to get ready for bed, of course I took my shower, I got in the bed, and I remember just getting in the bed and just relaxing and kind of just being like, oh, you know, just stretching and kind of just soaking in the comfortness of my bed. And when I stretched, the bottom of my feet felt really bizarre. It actually felt like someone had took a wad of cotton balls and just stuffed them in the bottom of my feet. And I say cotton balls because that's how the bottom of my feet felt. They didn't feel like hard or anything like that. They just felt like there was just a wad of something in the bottom of both of my feet. And I was like, what is that? That feels so weird. And I was like, you know, maybe I stepped on something, or maybe I did a lot of walking. I didn't really know what to make of it because that had never happened to me before. I'd never felt that before. So, you know, eventually I fell asleep. And when I woke up the next morning, I was completely numb from my knees to my ankles. And my feet still felt that way. And I was like, what is this, right? Now, I knew, ironically, I had a doctor's appointment in 2 days. So I was like, okay, good, I have a doctor's appointment. I can go ahead and talk to my doctor about it. So I continued with my day, came home, repeated the same process, went to bed, woke up the next morning. Now I was numb from the top of my thighs to my ankles. And I was just like, oh my goodness, what is happening here? And when I say numb, what I mean is like, I don't know, maybe if you've ever gone to the dentist and you had a shot of Novocaine and your mouth is numb, like you can feel what's going on, but it's still numb. That's how it felt. But anyway, I know I was just really weirded out and I was getting really nervous. The next day, I had my doctor's appointment, of course. Went to sleep, woke up the next day. Now I'm numb from the top of my stomach down to my ankles. It's literally growing up my body. And let me tell you something, I've never been so on time for a doctor's appointment in my life. Went to the doctor. Now, me being younger and not really understanding that different doctors do different things. I mean, I knew that, but I still figured that I could wait to see this doctor and she could somehow help me out and at least point me in the right direction and maybe give some kind of opinions. I didn't know. But when I went to this doctor, and this was a doctor for a follow-up that I had with something completely different, she totally brushed it off. Oh, but just wait for a couple days and just see what happens. And I just remember looking at her like, lady, what are you talking talking about? I just told you I can't feel my body from the top of my stomach to my ankles, and you have no other resources to give me except wait a couple of days. I went home and I called my primary care physician, which is what I should have done in the first place. I called my primary care physician and she got me in immediately, like I came in that day. Again, I've never been so on time to a doctor's appointment in my life. I got there, she listened to what I felt like was going on, or she listened to my issues basically, and she took some blood and some urine work, and she said that she was gonna call a neurologist's office and try to get me in ASAP. So she came back, she gave me the number to the doctor. I went home, I called, and the receptionist who answered the phone said, okay, so we can get you in. Basically the date she gave me was 30 days from that day. And I just about lost it. I lost it, but I lost it kind of calmly and respectfully. And I just let her know, I can't wait 30 days. Like, is this gonna be growing up my chest tomorrow? Is it gonna grow up to my head? Like, you can't just leave me out here like this. My primary care doctor called. She said, hold on. She came back and she said, we can get you in tomorrow. Went in the next day, and I sat down in the doctor's office. And when I got there inside of his office, I did see I saw a molding of a brain and a spinal cord. I really didn't think much of it. I didn't really do any research on what a neurologist even was. I think this might have been before Google. If not, it was before I really started using it. And I just wanted to just go to him and he could let me know what was going on. He came into the office. Again, he listened to my concerns, and then he said, well, first, he took out the molding of the brain and the spinal cord. He brought it over to us and he started talking about it, and I don't really remember exactly what he was saying, but I knew that he was talking about a brain and a spinal cord and how important that was to my body. Then he said, we're gonna go ahead and get you tested for multiple sclerosis. And that came out of left field. I was not expecting that at all. And the first thing I thought about was Richard Pryor, right? That's all that I could think about. And I'm like, multiple sclerosis? What are you talking about? And so he said, we're gonna get you in to get an MRI, and that will be able to let us know what's going on. In the meantime, I'm gonna give you these pills. It's a steroid. And I had to take a lot of them. I had to take like 12 the first day, 11 the next day, 10, 9, 8, just taper all the way down. He said, in the meantime, that would get your body to feeling back to normal. And I just remember being relieved at that because I couldn't feel my body, and that was a really big concern of mine. So I took the pills. I went to go get the MRI. I came back, and about 4 or 5 days later, my feelings slowly started coming back in my body. I was so happy just to feel my legs and my stomach again. I was just truly happy. So I went back to my appointment after he got the results from the MRI, and he said, there's nothing here. You don't have multiple sclerosis. And I was like, well, what was that? And he said, the only thing I can think of is that maybe you had a virus that attacked your spine. I remember thinking, what kind of virus is this? Because I never want to catch this again. Like, a virus is a cold or the flu. What kind of virus makes you not be able to feel your body, right? So anyway, that's what he told me. My results came back negative. What else could I do? I do want to say I did have some residuals for a while, painless residuals, just like little feelings in my thighs, like if I would walk really fast or run, because I like to, walk and run outside. My thighs, like once I sat still from running, like my thighs, it would just feel like little beads just going crazy all over my thighs. Not beads, but beads, like if I was just outside in the rain. And rain is just beating your thighs. It was really weird. And it didn't hurt, it was just weird. And so I had that residual effect, and then also I had this other residual effect where if I look down like this at something, my spine, it would do like zzz. It didn't hurt, but it felt really, really weird. And that's what it would do. I had those two residual effects for quite some time. I want to say for like a really long time. Not every day, but enough. So we're going to fast forward 5 years later. 5 years later, as in May 2011. And if you guys are wondering how I know these dates so well, it's because I had to pay that MRI bill. So I saw that date on that MRI bill for like 18 months, 24 months, because it was very expensive. So that's how I knew it was May 2006 when I got the MRI. So now 5 years later, May 2011. And I know this day because it was Mother's Day weekend. Okay, so it was literally exactly 5 years to the date later. I went outside. I had, where I was living, it was really good for running and walking and working out. So I had done that. I came home. I got in the shower. And when I was in the shower and I started washing myself and I got to my stomach and it was numb. And instantly I had the flashback from 5 years prior. And I remember I was just like, oh my God, this virus is back. That's what I'm thinking, right? Then I rub my legs. I mean, I'm washing my legs and it's the same thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I do not feel like dealing with this right now. So I waited, and I shouldn't have. I waited for a day to see if anything would change. And the next morning, my feet felt funny. But it wasn't that cotton ball feeling. It was something different. Like they were starting to feel stiff and just weird. They were feeling stiff and they were cold. And it was just really weird. So I decided to take a warm bath later on that night, more so like a hot bath. And that was the worst thing I ever could have done. When I got out of the bathtub, my feet felt hard and crunchy, and the skin on my feet felt like the roughest sandpaper you could ever imagine. And it just, they didn't feel like human feet. Like if you move your hands, like, you know, everything feels fluid, right? But it just felt like stuff was in there, like broken glass and sandpaper, and it just felt really, really weird. And it hurt to walk on my feet. It felt like I was walking on dull, broken glass. Like if someone just took a bunch of glass bottles and threw them on the floor and said, now walk on it. That's how it felt. And I had to go to the ER. So I went to the ER with my parents. They got up immediately. They were like, we're on our way. So I went to the ER and I explained my symptoms, and they told me that the neurologist wouldn't be in until 6 in the morning. So I had to wait. So I did. And so about maybe 5:30, they brought me to the back and they did some blood work, and I can't remember, urine work. I can't remember. Well, they took blood. I'll put it to you like that. They took blood, they put me in a robe, I sat down in the bed, and my parents left just for a moment, just to use the restroom, probably grab something to drink or whatever. And then at that point in time, the neurologist came in, and he said, what's going on? So I told him what was going on, and he said, okay. He said, this to me sounds like multiple sclerosis. And I was like, no, you don't understand. There's this virus. Listen how this sounds. There's this virus that keeps attacking my spine. This happened 5 years ago. I did the MRI. Everything came back negative. I took some prednisone, and the neurologist told me that a virus attacked my spine. And he was like, okay. He was like, so today's Friday. You're not going home till Monday. We're gonna get you checked into your room. Y'all, when I say this doctor treated me like his daughter, he treated me like his daughter. He said, you're not going anywhere until Monday. We're gonna check you into your room. Once you're in your room, someone's gonna come and get you. You're gonna get a spinal tap. From there, you're going to go and get a chest x-ray. After that, you're going to get an MRI, and after that, we'll go ahead and take some more blood and urine samples from you. And it could have been another test too, I don't know. But once I got to my room, bam, they came and got me for the spinal tap. Then they wheeled me into the MRI, then the chest x-ray. Like, they were about it. They moved so quickly and so efficiently. Came back to my room, and they also hooked me up into an IV infusion of Solu-Medrol. I forgot to tell you that the neurologist also said, and then every day you're going to get 1,000 milligrams of Solu-Medrol. You'll get 1,000 today, 1,000 Saturday, 1,000 on Sunday, and on Monday when you go home, we'll give you 500. He said that's going to get all the feeling back in your body. And I said, okay. So came back, they gave me my Solu-Medrol. I was sitting there chilling, just kind of relaxing, and he came in and he said, okay, so the results came back and you tested positive for multiple sclerosis. And I was like, what? Like, I kind of really still didn't see it coming because I didn't believe it. I didn't think that it could happen to me. And I heard my parents just let out a gasp, and then they just put their heads down. And I was just like, oh my God. And I think I cried a little bit. And my dad, he was rubbing my shoulders and my back and, you know, my leg. And I remember he cut my face and he was just rubbing it. And, you know, the doctor let us have our moment, and then he walked over to the window and he said, that office right over there, and he was pointing out the window. He said, that's my neurology office. My name is Dr. So-and-so and so-and-so, and I'm gonna be your new neurologist. He said, and you are gonna be just fine. And he turned to face me. He said, multiple sclerosis isn't what it used to be. Well, the way that you live your life isn't what it used to be. He said the medical advancements are just tremendous, basically. I don't know what word he used. But he said there's so many different forms of medication out there. You're going to be fine. He said, you're going to go on to live a normal, healthy life. You're going to go on to have kids if you want to, get married if you want to. You're going to be fine. He said, I'm going to put you on a medication called Copaxone. He said, and every day, you're going to have to give yourself injections. And I was like, with a needle? And he said, yes, with a needle. He said, this is some really good medication. He said, this medication has gotten people out of wheelchairs. And I just remember starting to feel better. And it's amazing what the power of words can do, because I instantly started feeling better. Just with how quickly he worked to get the testing done, how he broke the news to me, how he just took control of the situation. I'm your neurologist. You're going to get better. I'm prescribing you this, and this is what it's going to do for you. He said, I want you to rest over the weekend. You take it easy. But every day, I want you to get up and walk. Do not become sedentary. Don't sit in this bed and wallow. Get up and walk around this hospital. He said, if you can only walk for 2 minutes, then walk for 2 minutes. If you feel like you can walk for 10, walk for 10. He said, but just stay moving. He said, and aside from that, relax, rest, sleep. Every day, one of my colleagues will come in here, and they're just going to ask you a couple questions. Just answer the questions appropriately, how you're really feeling, and then you'll be discharged on Monday. And on Monday, I want you to call my office, set up an appointment with me, and we'll get you in, and I'll get you started on your medication. And I was like, okay. And basically, that's what I did throughout the weekend. I stayed in my room, I chilled. My dad spent a day with me. One of my best friends came and spent a day with me. And, you know, just trying to keep my spirits up. And I just got through the 3 days just like that. I checked out. I called the neurology office, set up an appointment. He got me in within like 3 or 4 days. And I was sitting in his office, and he was telling me all about Copaxone and what it was going to do for me, and how I was gonna order it and everything. He also gave me a 1-800 number to a company called Shared Solutions, and it was a number where I could call people 24 hours a day if I was depressed or sad, or if I had questions about my medication, if I was nervous about giving myself a shot. Like, it was really the bomb. And I called them, set up an appointment for a nurse to come to my home and show me how to give my shots. And that first shot, y'all, it felt like liquid fire was going into my body. But eventually, like after a week or so, or a couple of weeks, my body started adapting and getting used to it. One time I did have an attack when I took the shot. Like, I took the shot and then all of a sudden my heart, it started going like this, and then it stopped, and then it pulled back, and then it just rested. And during that time I couldn't breathe very well. But I'm a very calm person, and I remember I actually called my mom because I had the phone right there by me, and I was like, I can't breathe, just talk to me. And she just immediately just started shooting the breeze and just talking to me about just some random subject matter, and then I started feeling better. Now, I did read about the symptoms, so when that happened, I knew that that was one of the symptoms that I read about, and I knew that it would pass. So, but otherwise, on Copaxone, I really did not have any issues. I had minimal relapses. I want to say in the 8 years that I was on it, maybe I had maybe 3 or 4 relapses. And my relapses basically consisted of numbness. Sometimes my feet would get really hot and I would have to soak them in cold water. Sometimes my hands would get really hot and hypersensitive, and I would run them underwater and stick them in the freezer. So I had issues like that. But whenever I had a relapse, I would call and a nurse would come to my home and she would basically give me an infusion of the Solumedrol. So, you know, it would be gone, the sensation would be gone in a matter of days, like usually 5-6 days. So whenever you do have a relapse, you can always just get the Solumedrol and it'll take the relapse away. At least it always did for me. When I did actually get pregnant, I stopped taking the Copaxone. I put it in my legs for a while because you could only put it like in the fatty parts of your body. So I did put it in my legs, but also a stomach was a major part where you could put the Copaxone, and I wasn't putting it in my stomach when I was pregnant. So I only took it while I was pregnant for about 3 or 4 months because I did read on it and I spoke to my neurologist, and there were no side effects for children. For fetuses if you were taking Copaxone. So I did take it for a while, then I stopped. And basically I just lived my life and I really didn't have any problems. I am no longer on Copaxone because around 2020 maybe, I had my worst relapse ever, and it was a bad relapse. I had pain on this relapse. Usually I didn't have like severe pain, but with this relapse I had a lot of pain, a lot of stinging in my arms, like a wasp was just stinging my arm. Really bad head pain where I couldn't lay my head down on a pillow. So I was taking a lot of nerve pain medicine and just taking my Solumedrol and trying to get rid of it that way. But the pain was so bad and it was kind of intense that we decided to switch my medication. So I'm now on a medication called Tesabre, and now I go in once a month at the MS Center for my infusions. And I've been fine for 2 years. I've been okay. Recently, even though I am on the Tesabre, I did get an MRI and I found out that my lesions had more than doubled. I went from 4 lesions. I went from having 2 on my brain and 2 on my spine to 10 lesions. And I started experiencing some other things, like as far as my vision. So my legs were starting to get a little bit more heavy, and every now and then it would feel like that bee sting was trying to come back, but it just, like, it didn't penetrate all the way through. So I noticed that after I got on the Tesabre, but then, like I said, I found out that my lesions had spread and had multiplied, and that's why I was experiencing those issues. And I just basically had to cut down on my stress levels, which I was able to do. As far as work-wise, I was able to do that, which helped a lot. And as far as the vision going in and out, because it was happening, like, it was starting to happen like once a week. And now it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times in the past, I'll say 4 months. So stress levels are a big deal. Your medication is a big deal. Your lifestyle is a big deal. Sleep and rest and personal time, or whatever makes you feel good. For me, it's personal time. Maybe someone else, it might be happy hour. I don't know. Maybe they get really good endorphins by going out and being around people and socializing and eating. Whatever your feel good is, you want to make sure that you do that, along with rest, nutrition, exercise, resistance training, and taking your medication. All of those things are going to play a part in how you're going to be living with your multiple sclerosis. There is no cure. It is a debilitating disease, obviously, but there's a lot of things out there that can help you, a lot of medications and a lot of resources. So if you're watching this video because you just found out you have it, and you're worried and you're scared and you just want to hear someone else's journey, I hope this helped. If you know someone who has it, you know, just make sure that, you know, if you're close with them and stuff, just make sure that you comfort them from time to time, check in on them from time to time. Hey, how you feeling? You know, I was just thinking about you, you know, just to kind of give them those words of encouragement, because I do have a good support system, thank God, so that helps as well. But yeah, it is manageable. If you have it, just follow the precautions and the steps that you need to take. Get yourself a good neurologist, because if you have a neurologist that acts like they don't care and they're not listening to you, and you feel like you're not getting better, get another neurologist, because you never know what that neurologist can do for you. My neurologist that I had originally, because he's not the original neurologist, he's not my neurologist anymore. I have a new one now because he's retired. But just his words alone and his presence and the way he took charge instantly made me feel better. And he was a good role model, because I feel like if your neurologist isn't making you feel better, you need a new neurologist. So yeah, really that's just about it. That's all I have to say. I hope this video helped, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.